Good afternoon and welcome to our final session for Earth Science Week today, which is our teacher professional development to help you think about embedding earth science into your everyday lessons and your everyday programming. So there's been a really great day of sessions. A big thanks to Geoscience Australia for supporting the program to enable us to do all of these sessions across the day for free. You will be getting all of the recordings from the sessions and from the teacher PD today as well. So it does mean that this is the beginning of you being able to embed earth science into your programs and thinking about how you can use resources. So these videos will become part of your toolkit that you'll be able to use, and we'll be sharing additional resources from all of the presenters as well to give you extra resources and materials. So I'm going to hand over to Shona from Geoscience Australia, who's going to kick us off for today. And we will go through a couple of presentations and then have the opportunity to ask everyone questions as well.
Thanks so much, Karen. Thank you to everybody who joins us or watches this in a replay at some later point. I'm Shona Blewett. I'm the manager of the Education and Outreach Program at Geoscience Australia. And I have got some slides to show you, but I'll break away from that at a couple of points. And I'm going to admit to being rusty, so we'll see how we go. But I'll share my screen first of all to get us going and share the correct screen. And there we go. So the aim is to get teachers feeling more comfortable embedding some earth science in their lessons. That's what I'm going to talk about. So I want you to remember earth science is amazing. It's the kids that come in, they are naturally engaged with earth sciences. So please, please, please reflect that enthusiasm and don't let it die. And I just threw some images in here of just a few things I could get off really easily. This is a microscopic slide showing the crystal structure within a rock, and you can see the amazing colors that are used in polarized light in the crystals there. The microscopic scale is amazing, but the landscape scale, where we've got the forces that have created the landscapes around us and the rocks that they're made of, like the potholes in this riverbed that you can see. Can you see the layers here have been bent, they've been folded, and that would have happened at great depth underground. So working out there's wonderful stories and history to what you see in the rocks today. Coastal landscapes and landforms, what the marine environment has going on in it, the shape of the depths of the sea floor. We'll talk about that a bit more later on. Then deserts. Australia is a desert continent, but it's not necessarily a sandy desert. And imagining and understanding what's going on in that environment that shapes it and continues to change it. And then, of course, volcanoes and those impressive things that we can film and go, wow, look at that forces of the earth. It is amazing. Students and kids are really, really interested in it. So communicate that sense of awe and wonder about the earth. That is what will stick with your students. That enthusiasm, more so than particular content that you deliver. But yes, we do have to deliver that particular content as well. There are a number of really strong touch points for earth science in the curriculum. I'm not going to dwell on this, but for primary teachers, that middle primary, could it be year 3 or year 4, changes to the surface of the earth that are relatively slow, things like weathering and erosion. Year 6 has got hazards. Year 8 has got the rock cycle and much more. Year 9's got plate tectonics. We're lucky in this country that the science curriculum has got strong earth science content. It's not always the case. It's often pushed into geography in some other parts of the world. There are changes to the curriculum afoot, but it could be years before that is having a strong impact, and it will have some impact on the earth science parts. I want to pick up on what does an earth scientist do, but I'm going to talk about what earth scientists, or at least some of them do here at Geoscience Australia, because it's really diverse. It could be that they're involved with flying drones, and this is a big drone used for getting into areas where you can't go by land, and you can take surveys of the ground for various purposes. It could be creating hazard maps, or what's the wind hazard for Northwest Australia, or what's the seismic hazard for different parts of the country. It could be receiving information and processing that information from satellites like Landsat, which has many, many applications these days. laboratory work, the white lab coat part, but there's only one image with a white lab coat on. Analysis of specimens for various purposes, such as finding out how old a particular sample is. There's the fieldwork itself, where collection of that information takes place, and lots of maps are used in those circumstances. And here we've got a piece of drill core that's been drilled out of the ground, because we only know what's down there when we actually have a real sample. Really, really diverse work, not to mention office work as well, IT support, logistical support, so many aspects to earth science work. So teachers, please, number one, attend professional learning sessions to increase your confidence. Tick. Number two, be a collector. Have an interest in using your own materials in your lessons, be it your own photographs of places you've been, be it rocks and sediments that you've collected, bring them into your lessons, and it's really handy to have at times as well. Don't let the earth science parts of the curriculum be squeezed down to 2 weeks. That's not fair and that's not right. There's so many opportunities to do hands-on activities and be inquiry-based, so earth science is a great vehicle for those things. Use environmental print. We've got these Minecraft posters, and you can see one of these displays set up about that. And I'm amazed, but Minecraft is still a really, really important thing in many kids' lives. Discuss where things in our daily lives come from. Where do the materials that make your house come from? What about the roads and the railways around? What about the energy we use? What about the transitions that have to be made? Talk about those things. And there are great opportunities to integrate. Water and hazards in particular have lots of crossovers with geography themes, but there's other chances as well. So this is where I work, in Canberra, in a great big building called Geoscience Australia. This is just parts of it. There's about 600 people that work here. And it's an organisation that is all about providing information for the country. It's a federal government organisation, various themes to the work that you can see here, but it's about geography and geology information, I guess you could say. Anything from community safety to understanding what resources we have or how we can help the energy transition, looking at the marine environment, looking at location and having the ability to have a phone with its GPS getting down to centimetre accuracy and knowing exactly where you are. These are improvements that are happening. And we've just created a new division called our Space Division, because we're involved with a new program that will put satellites, Australian satellites, up in orbit. And they're going to be calibration satellites for our benefit in Australia. The program that I'm involved with, the Education and Outreach Program, is a small team within this much larger organisation. And our main role is to provide delivery of experiences for students, be it in the Education Centre here, which is just over there, also online. We want to support teachers, so we're here to try and support teachers to improve your delivery of earth science topics. And we've got a whole range of education resources to help to do that. And places, also events like Earth Science Week at the moment are great vehicles for us to publicise that. The Education Centre itself, we're open. This time last year, we were talking about emerging from lockdowns, and no, we're still in lockdown, weren't we? But we're open for business. School groups can book in. They come from all the way around the country, and there is probably more demand than supply. We've changed to being part of what's called the Book Canberra Excursion System that many other national venues use as well. But if you're having difficulty with it, please contact us. The information's still on our web pages for contacting us, and let us try and help. So focusing on some of the resources that you can use, and I'll just mention a few, but there's a whole load of web pages that you can access to help you find things. We've got resources like posters, and if you would like a poster pack sent to you, please contact us through our education@ga.gov.au email, and we can send you a poster pack. We've got timescale bookmarks, more so for the secondaries, and grain analysis cards, but we've also got things like these cutouts. And now I'm going to show you these cutouts in a bit more detail when I find my mouse here. Whoops, go back that way. Because you might be getting to the point of thinking about, what about the end of the year and some activities that you might need some fillers when it's report time. Now, we've got various fossil cutouts that you can print and then students can do. These are not easy. These are not for young children, so just be careful with those. But you've also got this version here where there's a flat map of the world that you can stick onto a tennis ball. The non-bouncy ones are really good. And that's great for also picking up the perspectives on projections for maps around the world as well. So there's another of our cutouts. There's volcanoes as well. There's something for the Sydney Basin. In fact, there's a cutout for that as well. We've also got quite a lot of emphasis on resources applicable for natural hazards. So, you know, comprehensive booklets for teachers about earthquakes and tsunamis and volcanoes. There's the cutout that was mentioned. There's our tectonic plates cutout that you can have as well. And I really recommend the Tsunami Ultimate Guide webpage that we contributed to that does a lot of this that would fit really well with Year 6 work for hazards, but also potentially up into Year 9. Back in 2020, when we didn't have an audience on site, we started making videos in-house, short, sharp videos that picked up on some of the topics that we were talking about all the time with students, like a 5-minute introduction to plate tectonics, for example, or the geology of Minecraft. So we've been adding to that suite. Let me just get that to come up. Ooh, come back that way. We've been adding to that suite of videos with some that have been made with our scientists. So we've got Rachel in the top picture talking about glass sponges, and she explains in her video how we actually know the shape of the seafloor. We've got a brand new video from Eloise, who's talking about how the moon formed. And if you have the opportunity to come here to Canberra, we have a piece of moon rock that was brought back by Apollo 17 that you can touch. It's a piece of basalt rock that you can actually touch, and it's the only touchable moon rock in the whole Southern Hemisphere. Playing on video now, we've got a detailed view of the seabed around Australia. And you can see the lumps and bumps. It is exaggerated, but it's a different way of looking at the continent, where the coastline's not the important thing you see. It's the break in slope from the continent going down to the deep oceans and the oceanic crust and that side of things. And I've just been involved with several days of filming with ABC Education for a series of short programs about landscapes and landforms targeted at Year 8 geography, but it'll be applicable into Year 8 geology as well, potentially. And that hopefully will be available from late this year or early next year. It'll be going onto their website. Another new product, which is on the geography side of things as well, is our detailed map, a poster of the shape of Australia's surface, its topography. And we worked really hard to have these colours really stand out and pick out the western plateau side of the continent, the eastern highlands, and then those central lowlands where you go down to Lake Eyre. This is a poster that is in print and is possible to send out to you, but it's all digitally available as well. We just missed getting this one ready for this week. Available soon will be a mini unit about groundwater. Now, often when you're teaching about the water cycle, there's very little mention of groundwater, but it's a really, really important thing. And this is a couple of lessons with practical activities, and then another lesson where you're using satellite information about surface water to help to image and understand what's showing up on Australia's land surface. But again, I'm going to stop sharing because I want to just show you a little taster of one of the activities that's in there. And it's about making your own aquifer, making your own underground water store, if you like. So we've got a beaker, could be any container, could be a jam jar or something like that, with some gravel, some rounded pebbles and gravel in there. And I'm going to make sure that it's got a bit more water in there as well. And we're going to add to that some plasticine, it could be clay, to represent another layer of rock on top, which is impermeable. So I just need to squeeze that down and make sure that's a really good fit. And I have a kebab stick here, and it's like I'm going to drill a hole because I'm looking for water. So I'm going to make a little hole down through there. And there's a great excuse for saving all of these pumps. You know, all the sanitizer pumps and various sizes that there are, save them up because they'd be useful for this activity. So we're going to squeeze this pump down. So I'm drilling downwards, making sure it's not blocked off, and drilling down into the gravel underneath, like that. I'm just going to tilt down. Will it work for me? There we go. And we'll have our moment of truth. Let's see if my pump will actually pump water back up and out. You see that? Success. And I know it's obvious, but it feels really cool to be doing that. So we represent represented something called a confined aquifer, where the water will have had to have come in from somewhere else through the porous rock layers. It can't have come in from the rainfall directly above. So that's one of the activities that's part of that unit coming up soon, so watch out for it. And I'll just tilt this back up and we'll just go back to sharing that screen. There we go. So a little bit more to go. All right, we've lost. There we go. So if you want to know what's coming up, please subscribe to our newsletter. It only comes out about 5 times a year, but it's a great way for you to learn when things are out and where the links might be. The next edition should be coming out in December. So Earth Science Week, we're in it now. Happy Earth Science Week. I hope that you've been enjoying doing things with your students this week, but I've got a little suggestion if you haven't done anything yet, or you might want to plan for it for another time. Here in our education centre, we have these amazing sediment columns. They're actually quite big. And we've been adding a layer of sand or broken shells, clays, but we tend to want clean sediments, pebbles as well, gravel. Each layer is a school group visit, one on top of the other, going back years and years and years. But you could take maybe a jam jar or a tall, passata jar, something like that, and add layers perhaps for the students in your class, or perhaps to mark various events through the term coming up. As is in water, but you don't have to. And here's one. It's just, I don't know if you can see it very well, just some layers of different textures of sand, just added into a measuring cylinder in this case. So that might be something to consider. And I know lots of teachers, when they visit us, they say, I'd love to do a version of this back in the classroom, but obviously not as big and space consuming. There are some other opportunities coming up, particularly with TSEP, that's the Teacher Earth Science Education Program. They're doing some mini bite-sized PL sessions after school, like at 4:30 in the afternoon, through much of term 4. And I'd urge you to have a look because they're doing things about economic minerals and fossils. There's some other fossil sessions. There's also some critical mineral sessions. And we've got 2 on-site sessions here in Canberra on the 12th and 13th of December, being hosted by one of the TSEP presenters, Phil Gilmore, and he's focusing on a whole day about plate tectonics. So perfect for secondary teachers who are not confident or have never taught it. And also one about critical minerals, this really strongly emerging theme in our economy these days. We've also got pre-recorded previous sessions for teachers. So if you can find some time or need some extra hours, have a look at those from our website. And there's a few upcoming days and one that we've missed. So for the first time ever, the United Nations declared a Geodiversity Day, a bit like an eco-diversity, but it's not the life, it's not the biology, it's the geology, it's the landscapes and landforms, the places that the life forms live on, and celebrating that diversity around the world. And that happened earlier in October, back in the school holidays for many people, and that will keep coming around every year. Today is International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, and it's in Earth Science Week quite deliberately, or a very good coincidence. So talking about hazards and reducing risk really fits in at this time of year. Coming up on the 20th of October is the Great Shakeout. Anybody can take part. At 10:30 in the morning, everybody does their own earthquake drill and make sure that everybody knows what to do if they are affected by an earthquake, even in Australia, because it could happen here. Sorry, there's some rumbling going on because we have a school group just next door who are finishing off their visit and they're making the earth shake as well. Early November is World Tsunami Awareness Day. And also this week is the Earth Futures Film Festival, another first time ever thing happening. And there's a series of finalist films that are available online to view. And I'm looking forward to having a really good look at these. This is just one that I pulled off the website, which is an Australian finalist. And it's really taking an Indigenous perspective on the landscapes and landforms in northern New South Wales. So there's lots of opportunities. Another fantastic program that was on recently was on ABC about the meteorite impact that caused and was involved with the extinction of the dinosaurs. That was a David Attenborough program, but it went into this really great excavation of new information from a very well preserved fossil site, and thoroughly recommend that one as well to get interested in as well. So be enthusiastic about it and look for support. We can try and help if we can. Thank you so much for listening in.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all of that information. It was fabulous. And I have to say, as an educator as well, I go out to lots of schools. I use the Geoscience Australia resources. As you were mentioning, the Minecraft geology poster is a great one, just to sometimes get some kids just to start thinking a little bit more. So it's a really great gateway poster to get them into thinking about geology and more. So there are absolutely fabulous resources. I use it myself for my own professional development. I will, read resources and learn more from the Geoscience Australia website as well. So really fabulous resource out there. And we'll share a lot of those links with teachers after the event as well. So
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for all of that information, Shona, and stick around for questions that come later. I'm just going to hand over now to Danielle Lego from Sydney Olympic Park and sharing their experience of doing sort of a lot of that outside hands-on learning.
Wonderful. Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Shona. It looks like you guys run an amazing education space down there. Just looks fantastic, and I love your passion for all things geology and earth sciences. So my name is Danielle Lego, and I'm the education manager at Sydney Olympic Park. So one of the main things that we do at the park is deliver school excursions based around field work, and mainly based around field work in our beautiful stand of mangroves, which is the largest on the Parramatta River. And we also do programs through our urban centre, mainly in science and geography. And a lot of the earth sciences come into the geography field work that we do in and around our wetlands. So I've just got a little presentation here to share with you all. I will just pop that up now, and there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a little bit about what you could do outside of the classroom, how you can gather equipment and resources to get the students involved in their own local areas, the local maybe parklands, creek, waterways around your school, or even just within your school as well, to do a range of fieldwork activities just to get them out of the classroom and engaged with real world and authentic experiences. And also to let you know a little bit about what we have on offer at Sydney Olympic Park as well, both on the ground as well as virtually. So I guess before you head out anywhere, some of the interesting exercises that you can do with your classes all can relate to the location and doing mapping skills around whether it be Google Earth, using Google Maps, even using hard copy maps that kids aren't used to these days, doing location, having a look at locations related to where they live, related to where their school is, investigating the size of a particular area that you might like them to study, and also go into that, especially if there's any K-6 students, teachers present, starting to get the students understanding built and natural environments and interpreting things from an aerial perspective as well. So aerial photos are amazing to use before you head out and do actual on the ground work. The other good thing about using aerial photos and maps is the students can understand when they head out into the field, what are the surrounding areas that they're going to that are going to possibly impact on the site that they're going to be investigating. So you might be in an area that is under investigation. So you might be going out to a natural area that is adjacent to an industrial area, or maybe an area that has a high density residential area as well. And you can get the students to understand the sort of impacts that come into a natural area from the surrounding built environments. And from there, you could also do things like, well, how are we going to investigate this area? Maybe we could have a look at what type of litter is happening, or maybe we can have a look at noise impacts, or we can have a look at what the surrounding impact of light is on this area at night, and so on. So it's a whole lot of different things that you can do before you head out of the field, but to get the students prepared beforehand. So one of the things that we do at Sydney Olympic Park is a range of fieldwork activities that help the students understand how to investigate a particular natural environment. And the ways that we do this is through a range of different fieldwork techniques, and one of them is quadrat sampling. This is a really easy technique to use, whether you're at school or in your local natural environment. And it is basically just it can be a hoop, or it can be these 4 pieces of PVC piping connected in the corners to make a 1 metre by 1 metre quadrat. Often we do use hoops at Sydney Olympic Park now as well. They're really easy to maintain, and they're also cheap to purchase. These are thrown down into any area, and it helps the students to count a particular, it could be a particular organism. In this case, in the photo that you can see there, we're actually counting the number of seedlings that are popping up out of the ground from our beautiful mangrove trees. So they just get to count them in a contained area, and then they can work out, if it's a 1 by 1 metre area that we've got 10 seedlings in, how many seedlings might we get over an area of 10 square metres or 100 square metres, or in our case, 40 hectares. So you can do that in a natural environment. You can also do quadrat sampling within a built environment. You might like to have a look at the amount of litter that is in a school ground, and so you might do quadrat sampling for that as well. So for this one, this is nature-based. For you guys today, based around our earth sciences, and this is one way to do it. Obviously, the scale of your quadrat is going to change depending on what it is that you're actually counting. So if you're counting something really small, your quadrat might only be 25 centimetres by 25 centimetres. So the purpose of this is to determine the abundance of a particular organism that you might be investigating, and then you can multiply it out into the area, the total area of investigation. The other one is a vegetation transect. This is basically just trying to determine it could be, in our case, we're working in intertidal wetlands. It's looking at the type of vegetation from one point to another through the landscape. This is going to be a straight line, and in your case, you would run a tape measure from one point to another. It could be over 100 meters, and the students would walk along that tape measure from one end to the other, and they would have an identification chart for the vegetation that they're looking at, and then they just plot the vegetation in the different areas that they move over in the landscape. This enables us to understand the type of vegetation and where it is actually located. In our case, when we're working with wetlands, if you've got a local wetland in your area, or you might be by a beach, you might do sand dunes, we have a look at the change in our vegetation type from the creek as we head landward. And then we discuss all the different reasons around that. So it could be about, you might want to take out some soil moisture meters, and also have a look at soil type along your transect as well. And then you can plot soil type, soil moisture, and have a look at whether or not that's influencing the vegetation along the transect. We've also got abiotic monitoring that you could easily do. You can do air, water, and sediment monitoring in your schoolyard or at a local parkland. And if you've got some of this equipment, it's very easy to make up a small kit. You've got air temperature, so you just need a thermometer. Humidity is a hygrometer. You've got wind speed, so you have a hygrometer for that. and light intensity meter as well. All of these things I have in a small kit that we can, a list that we can send out to you that's called a school field work kit, and you can put that all together, including, it also includes where you can purchase this equipment. You can go and do some water testing. So have a look at water temperature, pH, turbidity, salinity, phosphates and nitrates, using very simple water thermometers that you can get to use in the field that protect, that aren't glass. You can also use pH kits, and they can either be strips or they can be, which is the little strips of cardboard, or you can also use our universal indicator for that. Turbidity is a great one to do with the students, using turbidity tubes to determine the clarity of the water, and also have a look at water pH and salinity, phosphates and nitrates, as is written there. Just excuse me for 1 second. Sorry, everyone. My children are just home from school and walking in. Okay, shh. I'm talking to teachers, quiet please. And then you can have a look at soil. As I mentioned in that Transect, you can have a look at soil moisture, at soil temperature and soil type as well, using different pieces of equipment that you can simply get from Bunnings that people would use in their own garden. So that's always really helpful, and this will help to build up an idea of the different abiotic factors within that local environment that you're investigating. You can also go and do some dip netting if you're by a creek. All you just need is a white tub, some little sieves on the end of poles, and some invertebrate charts that are readily available online as well. And that's known as dip netting. And the little creature that you can see there is, all the little creatures that you catch, the invertebrates within the water, they are all indicators of different types of water quality, and the charts will allow the students to identify those water bugs and then determine whether or not the water is polluted or whether it's clean. So that's a really fun one to do with the students as well. They love doing that if you're nearby a freshwater creek. Of course, when you're out and about, we love to get the kids to investigate all of the different organisms that they can see, try and have some sort of identification chart as well, get the kids to list everything down, and then head back into the classroom with everyone's lists of organisms and try and create a class food web or food chain back in the classroom from that local environment. So as I mentioned before, just some simple pieces of equipment that you can put together for a field kit that can be used. And some of our main suppliers are Bunnings and Science Supply Australia. So we will provide you with a list of, or through Virtual Excursions Australia, we can provide you with a list of equipment that we use at the park and where you can also purchase that from. We also have at the park a whole range of virtual field work. So if you can't get your students out into the field, or if you can't visit Sydney Olympic Park, then we do have a range of virtual field work activities that we can deliver to you from stage 2 right through to stage 6. And they go for approximately 1 hour for the primary school students and up to 2 hours for our years 7 through to year 12, based around our geography and science programs. We also have a range of on-demand videos and resource kits available on our website. Just a little bit beyond our earth sciences, for any of the primary school teachers that might be with us today, we also have our art adventures, which is a collection. Here's our wonderful artist who puts together, she's from the bowerbird herd, Nicola puts together a whole range of different waste products that she finds in the natural environment. She collects them all and then creates these amazing creatures out of them. You can see there the green and golden bell frog that she's created out of a whole range of different metals and bottle tops and things like that. So if you're interested in that, get in touch with us, and that's a 1 hour workshop. We've also got First Nations virtual excursions that are delivered by our wonderful First Nations educators at the park. So thank you for having me here today. Contact us as well about if you would like to have any teacher professional development days with your school based around fieldwork. And you can also book an excursion if you head to our website. So thank you very much for listening today.
Thank you so much for that, Dan. It really is great to hear more about what's going on with fieldwork, that idea that you can take the kids beyond the classroom and have some of those hands-on experiences. And I think, really starting with some of the Geoscience Australia resources, linking to some of the fieldwork activities, that, really simple ways that you can embed great earth science into your program. So they are really, really useful, and we'll share the fieldwork kit that Danielle was talking about as well. So what we've got now is Alicia from Australian Age of Dinosaurs. Sorry, she's been with us already today, doing a fabulous session talking about inside the lab. So she's just going to have a little chat about some of the resources they've got available.
Thank you, Karen. So hi to everybody, and thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm the Astronomy and Education Manager here at the Australian Age of Dinosaurs. So my background is in astronomy. I have a passion for paleontology, and I'm an educator for primary schools. So I've come on board the museum at a time when we're starting to create virtual excursions, and we have a new observatory here. And the point of bringing me on board was to find a way to deliver integrated content. So instead of our standalone dinosaurs or standalone astronomy, we're trying to integrate an educational program for visitors to site, as well as reaching out to students all across the country. So the first point of call was integrating astronomy with natural history and earth sciences, which we've done really well up at the observatory. And we have school groups coming through, and they are learning about not only geological time, we're taking them right back to astronomical time, and we're linking them up. So we're saying, where did the universe begin? What happened next? We're pointing out things in the night sky. And as soon as we get to that 4.6 billion years ago, we tie it back into earth sciences. So we're looking at supercontinents and the formation of the seas and land masses, asteroid impacts, and we're tying them into what was happening elsewhere in the universe. So when I arrived here, we were already doing extensive education programs for school groups that were coming through. So they would get to come up here onto the jump up, which is part of the Winton Formation in the Eromanga Basin. So we have this spectacular scenery and geology that these students are driving up onto. We have our undulating plainlands on the outside of the jump up, where we're finding all of our dinosaur fossils, and then they get to come up here on the jump up and experience what is it that all of our professionals with a history in geology and paleontology, what is it that they do? So they'll get a hands-on experience where we'll actually take them down, we'll explain to them layers in the earth, we will show them samples, core samples, we'll explain the process of the different layers in the formation, we'll explain we have some very unique soil up here, black soil, which is why we're finding the dinosaur fossils here, because it has certain properties where it has a rotational effect when it gets wet and then dries up, which brings our dinosaur bones to the surface. But it's a wonderful window in. Kids love dinosaurs. So if you can hook dinosaurs into the curriculum, they're not explicitly there. However, they could be there at almost every corner in the curriculum. So if you can build it into things like your earth sciences, that's great, and that's really easy. But we also have incredible national parks out here, where we have the most interesting ecologies and untouched sort of savannas, where we can actually film on location, and we can show the students, we can take the ones that are here on site out on excursions, we can explain to them about the geology and the formation of the area and the age of the different features. So, tens of millions of years old for the jump up. They'll also get a chance to do a geological timescale while they're here. So they will start to expand their conceptual knowledge of geological and astronomical time. So when they arrive here, they might be saying 1,000 years old is ancient. And when they walk off premises, they're saying 100 million years is quite old, maybe 1 billion years is ancient. So they're starting to really expand their brains while they're up here. We also look at the fossil formation. So that helps with this expanding the conceptual knowledge and knowing that they can have tactile, authentic experiences out in the field. There's a lot of places around here where they can actually go and dig up different kinds of fossils. So we make sure with our educational suite that the children have access to all sorts of fossils. So this is an edu fossil. I have my own collection of edu fossils here that the kids can actually hold and touch and learn about. And this is the inside of a sauropod bone. So a long neck dinosaur, and this is just part of it. The kids can actually have a look at it. They can learn about the fossilization process, which is learning about geological processes as well. And they can hold them and touch them and compare them to things that they can go home and pick up. So we've got some pumice stone here. And we use these sorts of things to explain to them, you know, why is this one so much heavier for its size? It's been through the mineralization, fossilization process. We can talk about volcanic rocks and formation. We've got things like our volcanic glass on site, different kinds of fossils. So not just our dinosaurs, so we can talk about different eras and different time periods. And we can talk about the Eromanga Basin and why we've got different kinds of fossils being found in different areas. So when they're on site, they get a lot of hands-on activities. They get to go on a fake dig where we take them down to where we've buried sauropod bones, and we'll actually get them all dressed up. So they're on a field trip, they've got their protective gear on. We can explain to them when they begin the scientific process. So what is it we're hoping to find? Why do we think we're going to find it? What's the theory? They can go down there, they can make discoveries, they can learn about protective equipment and going out on real field trips. They can come back with their observations and their recordings, and we can teach them how to draw and write about what they've actually observed and how to take samples. And then they can go back to their original hypothesis. You know, what did they think they were going to find? Why did they think they were going to find it there? Does it fit or does it vary? And give them a bit of a hands-on experience. We also have students, and we can do this through virtual excursions. We have students creating replicas. So this is an Australovenator claw replica. So we explain why museums have replicas of certain products, and we can explain how fossils are preserved under the ground before they're found, what happens to them as soon as they're exposed to the air, and why we need replicas for educative purposes, and the importance of education in science. They get little souvenirs to go home. I've come to the museum at the time when we're developing virtual excursions. So our first few virtual excursions are all based on the laboratory and fossils and dinosaurs. However, you can embed earth sciences into all aspects of your curriculum. So our great plans are utilizing what we've got. So you can utilize what you've got wherever you are. We will be using the biology and the ecology of this jump up and the unique flora and fauna that we have up here. The geology here, we have opals out here, and we can talk about the process of opalization. We can link that. So the integrated aspect would be linking it to something else that will wow those kids. So we link the formation of opals to the opals on Mars and the opalization process that might have occurred over there. We can also embed, we have trace fossils everywhere up here in the Winton region, but we also have footprints everywhere. So picking an area of the curriculum that the children generally don't engage with, like maths, if you're finding you're struggling to get them interested in particular topics. So we have a lesson in development at the moment that's on geometry and symmetry, transformation, rotation, all of these sort of ideas that we're teaching students. And to teach that, we're not just cutting out triangles in class, we're actually taking them out on an excursion, or if it's a virtual lesson that we're approaching them with, it is footage of and photographs of the roo prints that we have out here and all the different kinds of animal prints. And it's very nice to be able to tie into that one Indigenous perspective, so we can embed in that Indigenous practice in hunting and also in Indigenous artwork, how symbolism was used, how symmetry was used, transformations. So I think the key is find what those kids are really passionate about, because generally they love earth sciences and they love everything about it. For us, we're really lucky that we've got astronomy. We're Australia's first international dark sky sanctuary, and we have dinosaurs everywhere up here. So we are really lucky that we've got those hooks, but use those hooks and embed them everywhere. So previously we've used Google Earth to do virtual lessons and jump about the country and teach about the different climates. We've used this sort of thing to embed into English. So, you know, scientific information report writing. We don't need to write it about something boring. We can write it about something fantastic like Australovenator, who's a crazy, scary raptor. And the kids love it. So drawing on what they're passionate about and making those links, connecting those big ideas, and getting those kids smiling in class. So have a look on our website if you like. I will be sending through some links as well to some resources that we've got. If you want to reach out to us and you'd like us to be tailoring virtual lessons, because we are in Winton, we're in central Queensland, we're a long way away from people, please reach out to us and we can tailor lessons as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all of that information. And yeah, we will be sharing a lot of those follow-up links. But I like that idea that you can just use whatever is around you to help embed, and to think about that, you know, if you're going to tell a story, why not make it about dinosaurs and fossils or volcanoes or earth science? So if you want to do report writing, thinking about, you know, using these things that, as we've all spoken about today, the kids are just naturally and inherently engaged in. So being able to use those across your curriculum is such a great idea. So thank you. Over our last few minutes, if there's any questions, please put them through into the Q&A and we can ask all of our presenters. So I might get everyone, I'm going to spotlight everyone. If everyone wants to turn their cameras on, we might just have a couple of last questions.
I certainly feel like going up to Winton now.
Well, I have to say, I went up in the July school holidays. It has been on my list for quite some time. So it was fabulous to be able to make my way up there. And actually, you see, when you drive up to the jump up, it is just extraordinary. It is really one of those places that there's nothing like it anywhere else in the world. So it is definitely worthwhile. And I have to say, linking to sort of earth science, it was the Great Artesian Basin that got me driving from where I am in Sydney all the way up through that landscape, seeing all of the areas that had hot springs. You know, I was researching, I didn't know that Birdsville's all of their power comes from geothermal. I didn't think we did a lot of geothermal in Australia. And then the water that's left over from the geothermal, they then use for their town's drinking water. So I was, you know, I was blown away by that kind of information. So sometimes it's a different aspect of your journey that kind of goes, oh, I want to learn more about that. So I did a whole lot of Great Artesian Basin research when I was on my journey, as well as, of course, you know, dinosaurs and opals and fossils. So just for our last moment, we don't have any questions coming through at the moment. I just want to thank you all for joining us, not only for the teacher professional development, but for the amazing content that we've had across Earth Science Week today. For the teachers out there that are watching this now or watching it later, all of those resources are, you know, a great place to start. We will share the links, and on the YouTube links, I will actually put a link to each of the presenters' websites as well, which means you can watch the video, you can click on the link, go to their website and actually find out more and follow up. So all the resources that were pre-recorded, the posters, you know, all of those ideas are just there for you. So, you know, start small, grab one thing that you think you can engage the kids with, but then just think about how you can just continue to use that. Does anyone else want to add any final comments?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone for attending, and it's lovely to meet you all. And it sounds like there's some exciting stuff coming up for our students.
Definitely. Thank you, Karen. I think it's been a great day.
It has been a fabulous day.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so yeah, we will have share the contact details. This is the beginning. Everyone here is available to help you through your journey embedding more earth science into your classes. So we'll see you later, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. It's been an exciting Earth Science Week, and today has been fabulous. Well over 2,500 students joining us across the program, with almost 300 registrations from different schools, and especially home schools and regional schools as well. So thank you very much. Oh, as I see a question popping up. Oh, here we go. I'm having a lot of issues getting physical material in Western Australia, and I'm finding some places don't ship. Do you know where I can get some of the physical things mentioned? Well, Alicia, I know you can get things from your website. I got dirt from your website.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a comprehensive website and we do deliver pretty much to everywhere, especially since we're in the middle of winter. And so we understand how it can be difficult to get things. We will try and get it to you everywhere. But if there are specific things that you want to get a hold of, for instance, our banjo claws, which are not listed on our website, but there's some fantastic teacher resources that we can actually bundle up and send through to homeschoolers, distance ed, or teachers. Contact us here at the museum and we will bundle it up and send it off.
I can't speak for them exactly, but there's an organisation based in WA called Earth Science Western Australia that changed to Australian Geoscience. Oh, I forgot, they changed their name, but it still shows up as theirs were.
Australia?
Sorry?
I think it's Earth Science Australia.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of resources on their website that are printable, but I'm not sure if they also have things that they can send out, but it's worth checking with them, and at least they're in the right state.
Yeah, and of course you've got all the digital resources you can access as well. So for the physical things, a lot of the education suppliers, so Modern Teaching Aids, I think they do across Australia, they do some mineral kits. Southern Biologicals, I think, is based in Victoria. They also do the mineral study kits. So there are certain places that you can buy them that will ship across the country. So I'll see if I can find some extra links for you. And
on that note, TSEP supplies, but they sell through, is it Haynes, one of the educational suppliers, a kit of 3 boxes of igneous, then sedimentary and metamorphic rocks, really valuable probably in high school settings.
Yep. Excellent. So thank you very much for that. And we will share some of those extra links about where you can get things, because of course you're not going to find every rock in your backyard. So if you want to share a variety, you do need to sometimes go out and purchase those things as well. So yeah, we'll pass all that information on, and thank you so much everyone and for joining us, and all the presenters.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.